Some rules were never meant to protect you. They were meant to keep you exactly where you are. Stop for a moment and really think about this. And my name is Pastor. From the very beginning of your life, you were taught how to exist in the world, not by choice, but by design. Someone else decided what was right, what was wrong, what success looked like, what failure meant, and what kind of life was worth living. And you accepted it, not because you proved it to be true, but because you were never taught to question it. And that is where the danger begins. Because some rules don't break all at once, they slowly stop making sense. Rules create the illusion of certainty. They give you something solid to stand on in a world that is constantly changing, constantly shifting, constantly refusing to stay simple. They tell you that if you follow a certain path, you will reach a certain destination, and that belief alone can feel incredibly comforting. When you are young, that structure is necessary. You need guidance. You need limits. You need something to help you understand a reality that is far too complex for a child to navigate alone. But here is the problem no one tells you. You grow older, but the rules do not. They remain frozen in time, unchanged, unquestioned, and often completely disconnected from the reality you are now living in. And yet, you are still expected to follow them as if nothing has changed, as if you are still the same person you once were. At some point, something begins to feel off. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a thought you try to ignore. You were told to always tell the truth, but you start noticing that people who know how to bend it off and get further. You were told that hard work leads to success, but you begin to see people working endlessly with nothing to show for it. You were told to follow the system, trust the process, stay patient, and yet the system seems to reward those who learn how to bypass it. At first, you doubt yourself. You assume you must be misunderstanding something, that maybe you just need to try harder, wait longer, be better. But the longer you observe, the clearer it becomes. The rules are not broken. They are incomplete. There is a reason most people never question the rules. Because rules remove responsibility. They give you something to follow so you don't have to create your own path. They give you a sense of direction without requiring you to understand where you are actually going. And perhaps most importantly, they give you something to blame if things don't work out. I did what I was told. That sentence feels safe. It protects you from the weight of your own decisions. It shields you from the discomfort of uncertainty. It allows you to exist inside a system without ever truly engaging with it. But safety can become a trap, because the moment a rule stops making sense and you continue to follow it anyway, you are no longer being guided. You are being controlled. One of the most powerful rules ever given to you is the idea that if you do everything correctly, you will succeed. Study hard, work hard, stay consistent, be patient, follow the process. It sounds logical. It sounds fair. It sounds like a system that rewards effort. But reality is more complicated than that, because success is not built on effort alone. It is shaped by timing, by access, by opportunity, by awareness, and by the ability to recognize when the rules no longer apply. There are people who followed every instruction perfectly and still failed. And there are people who ignored the rules entirely and found a way to win. That contradiction is not a coincidence. It is a signal that the system is not as simple as you were told. Beyond success, there are rules about how your life should unfold. At a certain age, you should have direction. At a certain age, you should have stability. At a certain age, you should have everything figured out. And if you don't, you begin to feel like you are falling behind. But behind what? A timeline that was never truly yours. These expectations are repeated so often that they start to feel real. They become standards you measure yourself against, even when they do not align with who you are or what you actually want. And the more you try to fit into them, the more disconnected you become from yourself. Here is a truth that is uncomfortable to accept. Not every rule exists for your benefit. Some exist to create order. Some exist to maintain stability. Some exist to make systems easier to manage. If everyone follows the same path, the world becomes predictable, and predictable systems are easier to control. This does not mean there is a hidden conspiracy behind every rule. It simply means that not all rules were designed with your individual freedom in mind. Some were designed for the convenience of the structure itself. And once you understand that, you begin to see things differently. There comes a moment, quiet and almost invisible, when you begin to ask questions you were never supposed to ask. Why am I doing this? Who decided this was the right way? What happens if I stop following? That moment is uncomfortable, because once you begin to question the rules, you lose the ability to blindly trust them. And without that trust, you are left with something much heavier. Choice. You have to think. You have to decide. You have to take responsibility. And that is something most people try to avoid. Thinking for yourself is not free. It comes with consequences. People may not understand you. They may question your decisions. They may even criticize you for stepping outside what is considered normal. Because when you stop following the rules, you become a reminder to others that they could have done the same. And that makes people uncomfortable. So they defend the rules. Not because the rules are perfect, but because the rules are familiar. So what do you do when the rules no longer make sense? You don't destroy them completely, and you don't obey them blindly either. You learn to see them clearly. You understand that rules are tools, not truths. They are guidelines, not absolute laws. They are starting points, not final answers. And most importantly, you decide when to follow them and when to walk away. Because in the end, the most dangerous rules are not the ones that are obviously wrong. They are the ones that feel right, even when they slowly stop making sense. And if you never stop to question them, you can spend your entire life following a path that was never truly yours. Moving forward without ever choosing where you actually wanted to go.